it's been talked about a lot. It's been written about a lot, but I've been seeing it pop up more and more where it's like people are really starting to draw correlation and connection to the repressed emotions that we are all programmed to repress, right? The things that we've been talking about, all of these things over life. Where what have you seen, maybe what you have you experienced with the outcome of that in your own body as well as with the people that you work with?
Well, here's what I can tell you. I think I would have been maybe 19 years old. Had all of these, like I said, I went to specialists for my back and I had all of these tests done. And of course it was degenerative disc disease. And I have this syrinx that's like a fatty tumor inside my spinal cord and 3 bulging discs. So I was in a lot of pain
This was
in
at
my
this was
19
at
years old.
19.
19 years old. So in my sacroiliac joint dysfunction, so like the joints basically where my spine sits into my hips, and all of these things that they offered, I could have done the surgeries and gone on disability. That was at 19 years old. I'm 39 years old, and I live completely, relatively pain free. Like I don't ever experience pain like I did at 19, 20 until I was 22 years old. That's kind of when I started to really like get into some of this. But I would still have like bouts of a lot of pain. But now, and again, if you did an MRI, you're going to see the exact same things that you saw then. I had no surgeries. You will still see, it will look the exact same, but I do not live in pain or move through pain. So there was something else in there, right? Like, it
Yeah, I'm
was
curious. Like,
like
I have an opinion on what that is, right? But I want to know what you think it is. I want to understand from the perspective of, because having something like that and then 20 years later recognizing, oh, I don't experience life that way anymore. And medicine, doctors, everybody's telling me that it's this one specific thing. I think that's so common for us
yeah.
as humans, right? As people here in, in
It's
Western
it's
culture.
it's always wild how once I started learning more about it, and my sacrum is where a lot of the pain was, and in my world, like we call that the sacred bone, and the SI joints, which is where all of my pain would be. That's where I would be in a lot of pain, and like sometimes completely immobile. Like I would lose like the ability to bend forward and side to side, and they are the shock absorbers of the body. And when I look at my life, and like when I look at a small child, like this small child that constantly felt like that, and the breath would be stuck, and it's like I functioned from a place where I one day went and then I just lived there. And my parents did the best that they could, and they were really young, and they had their own traumas and their own histories. And when I look at how many times I was like, there were no clear cut boundaries. It was landmines. Like I never knew what I would step on. So I again lived in that space, like ready constantly to absorb the shock. And it's like, oh, this little girl, like I picture her all the time, and that's a huge component of this work too. Like I picture her all the time, and I'm like, it's not there anymore. I've got you now. I'm the parent now. I will never leave you. You're always with me.
I'm just gonna have to sit here and boob for a minute because you said shock absorbers, and it was like, oh, whoa. Because not even, it's just like that. It's okay, like that's just like the first awareness. I've never heard it described that way, and it clicks so much of pain that I have. Like I had a back injury at 19, herniated disc, all this comes up. You feel our kids, like it didn't start with you. Our daughter, she also at that age started having all of these back, and it's just, I don't even think I'm speaking like where you can understand me right now. I think my
Oh,
brain
I
is
hear
going a
you.
little
I
too
hear you.
fast. But hearing that like shock absorber, we have this new thing that we've been hearing that makes it's not to blame or shame, it's to explain.
Mm-hmm.
And just that little bit of understanding feels like it creates space for possibility, create space for liberation. And I would, if you have a moment, could you talk a little bit more about how did you work with that? Because that's significant. Like you said, the MRIs are going to show the same thing, and you've had that awareness. What are some of the things that you've done with that space? What have you done?
One thing that I realized, I did a lot of thinking on because I kind of sustained where I was from like 20, probably around then, like 19 until maybe like 28. Again, I was a get by girl. Like I could do just enough that I can like get by and function. And I remember wondering like, how did I survive that? Because like, how did I make it work? Like, how did I get by? And I was like, oh my gosh, the one thing, like I did not treat myself well by any respect, but one thing that I did regularly and consistently was dance. I was in quite a few booty shaking contests in my day. And when that clicked in my brain, like, okay, so because I'm like, there was something. I also used to listen to really loud music. Like I had subwoofers in my car when I was 19. So like that rattling,
That
right?
vibration. Yeah.
Vibration. So when I was like, okay, I'm going to use what I already have been using. What I already know worked. But imagine, right? Imagine if I wasn't at a bar drinking doing it. Or listening to like shoot you in the chest music. And like, imagine if I were doing it intentionally, right? Like, I still love gangster rap. I don't care. But but if I would intentionally use that. So I'm like, okay, so I'm going to dance in my kitchen every day. Right. I'm going to hum and create that vibration at really like high level ways of doing it. And I think if we do more of that and less of like, tell me how to do it. Like, tell me what's the way? Don't show me exactly how to move. I keep seeing all of these like somatic yoga and I'm like, yoga has never not been somatic. Like, there's no, you did not create something new. Like, there's
no, here we are. We're going to do yoga, but this time we're going to get into our bodies.
Yeah. I'm like, okay. Like, try the somatic yoga and, really like release the trauma from your hips. And it's like, but it is a matter of saying like, what have I always done? Now, how can I do this in like a high level way? Right. So like, what was I instinctively drawn towards? So me, it was like dancing and music, that vibration of my body and that movement of my body. And no one needs to tell you how to do it. In fact, I think the more that, because we're coming into this space where it's like everybody's starting to learn it and then it's going to turn into something else. And the more that somebody else says, here is the how, here's specifically how to move your body, what's going to happen? If we're listening to how somebody else is saying, here's how to specifically, we're going to go back to the same place. And I host retreats, and at the end of every retreat, I always have postcards from whatever place we are in, and people write themselves a postcard and then they give it to me. And at some time, it could be, weeks or months or years from them, I I have cold chills right now. I will mail it out when it comes. In 2017, I did a retreat in Hawaii with one of my good friends, and she lives there. So I did this practice, but I did one and I handed it to her. And about a year later, I get this postcard for myself, and all it said on it was, "You already are."
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm getting emotional. I'm not even thinking about it. It's like, Oh my gosh, just that reminder of like, I already have every single thing that I need. I already know exactly what to do. My work is to listen. Like, my work is to listen. Just listen. It's like we talk about this mind body connection, and we're like, how do I get it? I'm like, sis, it's always been there. Like, they don't function separately. That's just how you've been looking at them, right? Like, you don't listen to them together. But it is like, you already are. And I mean that for both of you. I mean that for every single person hearing this. You already are. You already know. You already do. You already can.
We were meant to be. We were meant to be. We were meant to be.